welcome to Talk to Me. And you're absolutely right. You are on Global Affairs Network, Gen TV, as you already know. Today, my usual suspect, my friend
Partner in
and
crime.
accomplice, Mr. Envela is here with us again. There's no other person that you know that can speak truth to power like Mr. Envela. Welcome, my friend. How you been doing?
I've been really well. I've been an exciting week on a lot of different fronts, and I look forward to sharing with you and your audience some of my personal insights, and look forward to seeing what they think about what's going on in the world today on several fronts.
Absolutely. Talking about your insights. Let me ask you this: if you have an additional electronic next to you, I will be pleased to turn it down or totally off. So
Yeah,
that we don't.
there's nothing here. Only
Okay.
electronic person here is I hopefully have an electronic personality. That's the only thing.
Well, I don't know about that, but listen. You are you talk about personal insight, and there's no like I said before. If there's the man that knows better, I'm gonna just give you an opportunity to give us a little bit of some of the highlights that you know of. The last time you were here, the conversation was great, was amazing. We talking about Simone Biles, and you know what happened, and it looks like she bounced back, came back to do what she does best. What you think about her winning the bronze? I think that's correct, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to compliment Simone Biles and those around her in her camp for her to think of it. Think of how many people suffer in silence. Think of the people who go to their job depressed or don't go to their job depressed, people who don't show up for a committee assignment for some important conference because of a mental health crisis. This woman on the global stage of the Olympic Games not only admitted the fact that she needed help, withdrew from the competition temporarily, and then found it within herself as a young, talented, gifted athlete, the greatest gymnast in my lifetime, to come back and win the bronze. Now, people often think, win the bronze, that doesn't sound like right. You should be winning the gold. No. I think in this case, her performance and her bouncing back was a platinum performance. They don't even make the kind of medals that, in my mind, that she Miss Biles. So I want to congratulate her, congratulate the United States women's gymnastics team, the mental health professionals, her support network, and I look forward to this discussion taking place after the Olympic Games, because after the cheering stops, Malik, is when you really start to listen and act on those people who have been crying out publicly, we need help.
So, but let's talk about the criticism. Do you think that these people would believe that all of this come with the territory? It's just like going to war.
Mhm.
For God's sake, if you're in the military and you engage to go to a place like let's say Afghanistan,
Mhm.
you have got to understand what comes with it. And do you think some other people? I've seen some couple of people. I think athletes themselves talking about. She should shut up and go do the work. Do
Yeah,
you think it's fair?
it's not fair. And I think I remember when Laura Ingraham, when LeBron James was making some of his statements during the whole Black Lives Matter, but she basically said, shut up and dribble the ball and play basketball. That to me is a racist and plantation like mentality. And I think that athletes now, just like the Juan Carlos and the Tommy Smiths did in the late 60s, we have, for those of us who have a platform, we can use it to do social good. Remember, these guys aren't androids. They have families, they have responsibilities, they have emotions, they have addictions, they have support networks. Granted, as an athletes at this level, we have a whole network of people there to help us. But somewhere along the lines, people forget that we are living, breathing people with emotions, tissues, and I'm hoping that after all this that has transpired, that the community, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, the International Olympic Committee will really make this a concerted campaign that won't happen just in a cycle, but will be an ongoing trend in saying it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be able to play injured. And yes, it's okay, even if you're at the highest levels, to tell people, hey, listen, I'm not ready to be my best. I can't perform my highest level because of what I'm going through internally. I applaud anyone who is that strong, that focused, and realizing that comes with a financial cost. Many of these guys, they want you to play through because you have agents who want you, sponsors who want you. But that, to me, you only have one life to live. And I don't care if you're a 100-meter sprinter, if you're a gymnast, if you have a mental health issue that could spiral out of control, it doesn't matter if they're saying, we're gathered here today in memory of fill in the blank.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm trying to change some gears here, but still in the world of sports, and I just want to get your opinion. As you're aware that the U.S. Women's soccer team lost this semifinal, and I was just appalled to hear some of the comment, especially coming from your girl, Candace Owens.
Yes.
You know, calling the captain of Team America when it comes to soccer, a women's soccer team. She says she was an anti-American piece of trash. You know, excuse my French.
Yeah.
But do you think this is going too far? I mean, this woman, these are the women that go overseas and put the best of themselves to represent the country, to represent America. And when you see somebody like, you know, Candace, that actually the only thing she does best is just running her mouth, you know, and talking and supporting. She was one of the fearless supporter of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
She is calling this woman captain, American soccer team's captain. She's calling her a piece of trash. Is that normal? Is this going too far?
It's gone too far for quite some time, Malik. And I think that what people, they try to attribute this to Donald Trump as being the person that's allowed this kind of bile to become a part of the mainstream. I don't know Miss Candace Owens, and I don't care if I never meet Miss Candace Owens till the day I die. But the reality is that someone like her who has a bit of a platform, and you'll find that people like that, they're just carnival barkers. She knows what she's saying. As a matter of fact, at one time she wanted to kind of be on the liberal side, and I guess whatever the packaging, whatever stuff that people were looking for on the liberal side, she didn't have. So she reinvented herself, and we know it's a game. She's, you know, and giving her oxygen. She's a black woman who can say what white people want to say, but if they say it, they'll be deemed a racist. And she's welcomed that at whatever price. And so thank goodness we live in the United States of America, where anyone can be paid to look like a fool or to say what they want. But I wish her Godspeed. And I'm sure that if Candace Owens and Megan Rapinoe were on the soccer field, I think that he'll be a different story, and she'd have a newfound respect for Miss Rapinoe's athletic skills.
Yeah, I mean, Megan is proven one of the best soccer players in the world, and for her to just use those kind of terms, piece of trash, I think that was too far.
It's too far. It's a bridge too far, and I just hope that the politics, Malik, and someone like you who is so classy, who is so forthright, you're even-tempered, and unfortunately, a lot of people on 24-hour cable are guys that you can find literally downstairs in the basement, living in their mother's base house, or you can get the person who, the Alex Jones of the world, who say what they want. So I try to be somewhere where you're forward-thinking, positive, and someone who is about making solutions. I don't ascribe any value to people who are on the left or the right. I'm all about saying what is in the best interest of more people rather than less. That's it. I'm not here to throw flames, to throw gasoline. Life is too short. too many people in the midst of this pandemic have lost their lives. And I realize that any time that I have the opportunity such as this, and once again, I want to tell people out there to support what you're doing. This is an incredible vehicle and should never be undervalued. That we should go out and we should stand up for what's right. People know what's right and wrong. Don't be confused. You know what's right, and you know that calling a fellow American trash, well,
Anti-American.
anti-American.
Yeah. Anti-American.
That means against America, even though she's wearing an advert. She is against America. How much more can you be than representing the Olympics as an American? So you get these folks who just, they're on the sidelines. As far as I'm concerned, Miss Candace Owens should sit down, enjoy the soccer game from the stands while she's eating a hot dog and drinking an American Coca-Cola.
Listen, guys, you're here with us. This is Talk to Me, and I'm talking to this gentleman, Mr. Envela, 4 times Olympian. You don't see much of this, the African people talking, this kind of talk intellectually, respectfully, honest, speaking the truth to power. And that's the reason why you can see this man coming back to this very channel here to tell us, give us his perspective on what's going on. Of course, we always can start with sport, and then we end up in politics. And I don't rush into politics because I know, as much as you are, you can run on the track field.
Yeah.
When it comes to politics, you definitely can give the same kind of energy and passion. I want us to maybe conclude, or maybe give some kind of a summary on what's going on with the Olympics games. We just mentioned about Simone being almost everywhere in our politics. I mean, in the game of in the media, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But it is also important to remind that there's more athletes out there representing America. She's not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we also have to, take some time and say thank you to those who go and represent America best, because there's a lot of Americans that continue to win gold medals, and we also have to have the courage to say, listen, mental issue is very important. Simone is very important, especially when she bring on the table this kind of issues. But we also have to say thank you for those who continue to work hard and make America, continue to make America this shining city on a hill. Your point and maybe your conclusion on that piece, so we can move into politics.
And it's a great segue. I think it's important for the mental health issue not to take up the entire oxygen of the Olympic Games. You figure you have close to 200 nations that are participating in a wide array of sports. Oftentimes it's the Americans who bring the most attention, and for good and for bad. But you're right, whether you're in archery, badminton, canoeing, whatever sports you are, you're your country's ambassador for that moment in time, that 2-week period. So I'm hoping that when they look upon the 2021 Olympics, which are supposed to be held in 2020, and the enormous uncertainty that enveloped this entire Olympic Games, I hope that history will be kind to these athletes who continue to train in the midst of not knowing whether or not they're going to compete, continue to train not knowing if they're going to survive, because some of these athletes actually contracted COVID. And I think it just tells you the resilience of the human spirit, Malik, that in the face of withering adversity, withering uncertainty, that we still seem to rise up like a phoenix. And so I want to commend all the athletes from all countries, big and small, whether in West Africa or the Western Samoa. Thank you for displaying your humility. Thank you for displaying your grace under unprecedented times. But more importantly, make sure that as you continue to be a part of this Olympic family, that you continue to advance the legacy of doing what you can to help your community, your neighborhood, your friends, and even your enemies when you go back home to your country, your state, or your small village. Welcome to the family.
Absolutely. What a conclusion to that sports chapter. Listen, man. As you know, for those of us who are in this political game, it's also like sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, for the political junkies like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
anytime there's sports, there's always gonna be politics on the side. So what we're gonna do is to change gears and go into it. We're gonna talk a little bit about political events, the recent political events in America. I know COVID still pretty much alive, and
Yeah.
there's some measures that the president. It looks like we are close to going back into the wearing masks and all kind of stuff. So we're just going to take a quick break and we'll come back and let's just talk about a little bit about what's going on in our politics here in the United States.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back again. We are with Talk to Me. You are on Talk to Me. This is a program for Gen TV, Global Affairs Network. Today, as you know, when it comes to politics and sports, there's no other man that can go back and forth with the same kind of passion like Mr. Envela, Gustavo Envela, El Niño de Oro, my friend. Listen, I want to know what you think about this. Do you think this situation, the COVID situation will keep us a little bit more into this, social distancing situation for maybe a couple more years, or this is gonna totally change the way we live. What's your take on it?
Yeah,
Knowing
I
that
think.
the president is asking people to, wear mask again when, he said before, now you can go in public and if you fully vaccinated, you don't need anything. I just want you to take on that and tell us a little bit about this COVID politics.
Yeah, COVID politics and the global pandemic, it's turned the world upside down. There's really no, I guess the new normal is the sense of the being uh, abnormal. And the best way I can describe it is just waking up every day, first of all, thankful to be alive and realizing that if I can do whatever I can within my sphere of influence as a father, as a son, as an active participant in global affairs, I'm going to do whatever I can. And I think those who choose to exert their rights and by saying that their constitutional rights are being infringed upon, well, if I'm dead, I think that my constitutional rights would have been ultimately infringed upon because I'm no longer a constitutionally living person. And so I just hope that all of us can take a deep breath and realize that the scientists are doing their best. This is something that we've never, ever encountered. And in many ways, we're trying to build the plane while it's in the air. And so there's going to be times where you have to scale back. You want to go ahead and reposition and rebalance. It's not because of any sinister motives. It's because people are trying to do their best. Science is an ever-evolving profession, and this virus has a way of somehow reconstituting itself to where just when you think you have it in a box, it reappears in this new form. So I am not a scientist, and I definitely do not play one on TV. But I do know this: wear a mask, socially distant, do what you can to make sure that you get vaccinated, and know that when you have that trifecta covered, you're putting yourself in a better position to be around for your children, your wife, and your grandchildren. So if you want to then muddy up the water with all the various permutations and combinations as to why you should not, just think about the next time you may not be around to see walk your daughter down the aisle to get married. Think about that.
You know, for those for those of us who have daughters, you absolutely speak directly into our hearts. You know, that's something that you, any man, and with a daughter would like to do, and you don't want to be stopped by COVID-19. I don't know, but you also understand that there's a good chunk of people, what is here in the United States, all around the world, that's still struggling without questioning, whether they have to be vaccinated or not. What do you think is the reason behind all the skepticism
Well, I think
with
because it's
vaccination?
so unknown. But I'm also really think of this. So we're in a position here in the United States. Just think of the continent of Africa or the remote parts of the world where they're thirsting to get the vaccine. They're dying to get the vaccine. And so there's something to be said. And don't get me wrong, I believe that the United States of America is the most exceptional country on earth. But we have our own frailties, we have our own arrogance. And all I can say is that think of that person out in a small village in Namibia who may have walked 50 miles with the hope of maybe getting a vaccine. Think about that. Where you can go down to your local CVS pharmacy, you can go to your local store, and you can pick it up without waiting. And so I just hope that Americans near and far will realize that we have a duty and a responsibility to lead by example. And you can express yourself in any form or choose not to take part, but just realize that we are all in this together. We're all in this together. And I will want to do my part. My daughters are vaccinated, and we're doing what we can to make sure that we are staying safe. I want to be around for a long time, Malik. I have two daughters. I know you have daughters. And I know that when history is written about this pandemic, they're going to have all sorts of things written about it. But at least I can say that I lived through it as opposed to died as a result of it.
Yeah, but you do understand why people are afraid to get
I do.
vaccinated.
I do.
And
I do.
depending where you are on the global, on the planet, countries have their own vaccines. China have their own, Russia have their own. But why is that most people tend to question these days and age? Why people keep questioning the American vaccination industry?
Well, the pharmaceutical industry is it has a rich history of wanting to focus just on making money at any price. And for those of us who understand the Tuskegee study, which was a study that took place in the United States, in which African Americans were injected with the most virulent form of syphilis for decades, and weren't told about it. They said it was a placebo, and they died. And so there's a history among the African American community for hesitancy. But that was then, and this is now, and we have to be practical. With regard to these other countries, you hear about all these different elixirs. I know that Equatorial Guinea bought some vaccines from China. I know that people are trying to weaponize the vaccine, saying that only certain people can get it. So you kind of had a Game of Thrones mentality, which to me is sinister in and of itself. But I just want to say to all people from all around the world, let's get through this. It's a heck of a time. We are all weary. But think of those people who, for the rest of their lives and for the future generations, will say that they lost their uncle, their aunt, their father to this ravaging pandemic. That's a chapter that will forever be a part of their life. And I hope that we can have the empathy as human beings to realize that, and more importantly, do what we know is right. Get vaccinated, even with the uncertainty. Put your mask on, socially distance, and just pray and thank God that you wake up every day being able to see your father, son, daughters, and in some cases, your Holy Spirit, for those of us who are religious.
but some of this skepticism it looks like it's also created by the government, part of the government itself, because I don't know if you saw the back and forth between Senator Ron Paul,
Anthony
and
Fauci.
and Dr. Fauci.
Yes.
He was accused of being behind, the Wang, I don't know how to say it, Wang
Well,
laboratory.
yeah, the Wahoo, yeah, and Doctor Rand Paul, who's an ophthalmologist, should be ashamed of himself. We all know it's political theater. These are folks, and I've dealt with these senators, Malik, for over 30 years. These guys are bad actors, but they're bad actors in the sense of theatrical, not bad actors as in bad people. And it's getting to the point where it's so serious right now that you really can't afford to play games. Anthony Fauci's been around since the days of AIDS, and he's had a stellar record. And I'm not to say that it's been perfect, and he himself would even admit that some of the messaging is not perfect, but who does anything perfectly, particularly a pandemic that no one's ever been around? Think of it trying to solve a puzzle or a math test that people haven't been able to figure out for centuries. There are certain places here in Northern Virginia where they try to solve a riddle at a very well-known place that still hasn't been solved decades later. And so all I can say is that God bless America. God bless the scientists, wherever they are. God bless all people who are in a position to get vaccinated. And please, let's pray for those who are starving and traveling miles and miles with their children on their shoulders, and in some cases barefooted, in order to hopefully have access to a vaccine. Let's not forget that reality.
Absolutely. But part of the fear right now is that people are thinking, if the vaccination becomes mandatory, and there's some people for some reason, I mean, maybe so religious reason, you mentioned the Tuskegee experiment, and some people still in that mentality, thinking that whatever the government does, and you always, especially when it comes to vaccination, you always have to have a second guess. You got to wait. Some people want to wait, maybe 1 or 2 more years, to really be comfortable with this. And then on the other side, the government side, you see people like, Dr. Senator Ron Paul pressing on Fauci, and putting him in a situation, very uncomfortable situation. Yeah, and so when you see all of that, all together, create this environment of people being suspicious of what's going on right now. Do you think that would be a good thing for the government to make vaccination, our obligation?
Emmanuel, yeah, it's very difficult to say because when you're a part of a country that's a democracy for as long and as many centuries as the United States of America has been, even something as logical and reasonable as engaging in activity that could save your life, who would have thought about that maybe 5 or 10 years ago? But somewhere in our political discourse, which in many ways has degenerated into just name calling and illogical behavior, people are thriving on creating chaos and dissension. And so I don't have all the answers. I can only say that when it comes to decisions that affect the United States of America, I believe that President Joe Biden and senators aligned with him are doing their best to bring this to an end. It's going to be around for a while, though, I think, this new variant. And I think that we have to be able to dance, dance a dance that we've never had to dance before, but continue to live, not exist, continue to live as a thriving lives as we possibly can, knowing that this virus is going to be around for a while. So the new normal is uncertainty. The new normal is unpredictability. But the new normal is, for those of us, at least we're alive.
Okay. Listen, I'm not going to continue to press you on that. Maybe last question. Former President Trump, at one point, he was affected by COVID, went to hospital. I don't think he was vaccinated, but he was treated. And this is President Trump, his own words. He said he's going to make that treatment available to everybody. So far, it looks like nobody talks about it anymore.
Mhm.
If you have something, a disease that is treatable, if the treatment is available, why is that we are pressing more on vaccination versus treatment,
Mhm.
knowing that the vaccination is actually more on the prevention sides.
Mhm.
I understand that.
Mhm.
But if we have something that is available as far as the treatment is concerned, why is that the conversation also why people seems to be quiet when it comes to what kind of treatment the president was treated?
Mhm.
I want to know that. I
Yeah.
want that kind of treatment whenever
Mhm.
whenever a loved one or myself
Yeah.
get this disease. What you think?
Well,
What's your
first
take
of
on
all,
this?
we have to realize that former President Trump was indeed the president of the United States, and he has access to things that most normal people don't have. Now, with regard to his treatment, I believe that his situation was pretty serious, and that's why he had to be airlifted to Walter Reed. And from what published reports have said, that he was in a pretty precarious situation. I think a treatment plan is something because they're trying to, in my opinion, come up with a standard protocol of a vaccine that will help people. I'm sure they're on a parallel track. They're also trying to develop a treatment, but I think they're just trying to keep people alive and healthy first, and then down the road, as they become more knowledgeable. And I realize that even with this variance, we at least know much more now than we did a year and a half ago, and it would be unfair for us not to give President Trump, for all of his idiosyncrasies, credit for fast tracking this vaccine. Because can you imagine, Malik, and those of you listening to us, if we were still trying to get authorization, how many millions of people would die? So I am someone who, I don't care what your political stripes, what your political ambitions, if you can solve problems
Yeah, right
and
is
work
right.
with, that's it. And so
Yeah.
let's give credit where credit's due. Now, with regard to his messaging and all the other stuff about wanting to be the center of attention and putting bleach and ultraviolet stuff, well, that's kind of stuff that's for Sunday cartoons. But the reality is that I'm glad that we have scientists that are working on both treatment, cure, therapy as well as treatment. But don't underestimate, these guys are tireless workers, men and women, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. And we hope that as we get more and more knowledgeable as to how this thing works and reconfigures, that we'll lose less lives and that we'll be able to get to small, remote parts of the world like Gabon or Equatorial Guinea.
Absolutely. Talking about Gabon in Equatorial Guinea, maybe Africa as a whole. We're going to take
Yes.
a quick break. When we come back, we're going to just dive into it, international politics. Okay, just in a minute. All right, you're back on Talk to Me, and with my friend Gustavo Envela,
Mhm.
aka El Niño de Oro.
We're
Listen,
twins. Don't tell anyone we're twins. We were separated by birth and separated by different countries. Don't tell anyone that. It'll be our secret.
absolutely. Listen, my friend, my brother. There's we can never have a show talking about politics without talking about international politics, especially we come from somewhere, and the politics in our mother country is also important as the U.S. politics. So tell me a little bit what's new when it comes to Equatorial Guinea. What's going on?
Well, Equatorial Guinea, as you know, has undergone quite a bit of transformation, I'd say, in the last 3 to 4 years, particularly with oil and the external shocks of which oil has produced both negative and deleterious effects. But more importantly, the people of Equatorial Guinea, as you know, Malik, they've undergone a great deal of misfortune at the hands of one family. And as someone who understands hard work, understands the importance of tribalism, whether you're talking about Republicans and Democrats or fangs and boobies, we all have to come together. And on this day, August 3rd, 2021, I am pleading for the people of Equatorial Guinea to come together. Um, as you know, President Obiang is hiding out in his small village of Mongomo, hoping to go to some other country and hoping to somehow assign his son unconstitutionally to position. What we want to do is we don't want that to happen. We want Africans to determine our destiny. We want Africans to determine our fate. And we ask that everyone within earshot help the people of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea as we reshape our future. We can't do it alone, but more importantly, we need to ask, why have we gotten here in the first place? There is no reason why Tito Obiang, Africa's longest serving dictator, should be in a position where he's trying to dictate from his small village the best interest of the entire country. That doesn't work that way. And so I hope that our neighbors, Cameroon and Gabon, as well as our friends in Europe and in the West, will continue to press Tito Obiang to resign from office, to take his family with him, and let us rebuild our country from the shambles that both he and his uncle, Francisco Macias Nguema, we can do it. We're strong, we're resilient, and I hope that perhaps if the will of the people of Equatorial Guinea bestow upon me the honor of being their president, I assure you, I won't let you down.
But let me ask you this, because you just mentioned Gabon to press on Obiang Nguema to step down. By saying that, are you saying that Gabon is an example of democracy or what?
No, no, no. If nothing else, I'm saying how all of Central West Africa is riddled by dictators, people who have by fiat have felt that they are entitled to some position. Some say by God, some by whatever, but most by brutality, deception, and unfair, and just tragically travesties for elections. So no, I'm not saying that at all. I want to be very clear. The people of Gabon have suffered under the Bongo family. The people of Equatorial Guinea have suffered under the Nguema family. The people of Cameroon have suffered under the Biya family. There seems to be a pattern here that these folks think that they have all of the knowledge in the world and they don't. It's a farce. They're a joke. And the reality is that the world is now waking up. Africans are waking up. But more importantly, we realize that with social media, with resilience, and just basically fatigue, people are fatigued. And change is coming. And I'm hoping that with outlets such as your network, Gang TV, that people out there will begin to contribute. This is a travesty that Malik, who is doing great things for our country and our continent, he needs to be getting the attention that he deserves. He's a great man. I say that as a biased friend, but also just as a human being. And for those of you out there, please take the time to help. He's doing a great service, and it's a service that goes unheralded, unnoticed, and he does so with no fanfare. So in this case, I'm going to be his biggest cheerleader and do what I can to make sure that Gang TV gets the attention of the CNNs of the world, of the Agence Presse, of the BBC. He's on par with that, and I look forward to seeing the trajectory of his future. And who knows, he may even serve as press secretary for the Republic of Equatorial Guinea at some point.
God bless you, my brother. Listen, I think beside the fact that you're a fierce supporter of this on the show or and the network, I believe that you just said very important things when it comes to those beautiful countries, rich when it comes to natural resources. But unfortunately, the people don't live the life they're supposed to. There's in that part of the Africa is life as it is, but I think we should be talking as life as it's supposed to be, and it's been so long. My question here is that for too long, most people, pundits, analysts, and almost everybody believe that situation we see in Africa, in those countries that you just mentioned, just to mention the list, you mentioned Gabon, you mentioned Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea. People always believe that there's some kind of conspiracy theories going on between the colonizers and the former colonizers, former, because I
Mhm.
know some activities still going on.
Yeah.
It looks like there's always like they are the dictators are supporting by the former colonizer because they have interest in those countries and they have to maintain those people in place so that they can continue to enjoy unfair benefits of those countries. And I'm talking about natural resources. Do you think this is just that argument is valid in 2020, or this is just a matter of people
Yeah,
being greedy
I
because
think in 2021 the multinationals have worked assiduously to maintain the status quo. Whether you're talking about ExxonMobil, Chevron, Alpha Alcatane, Noble, or the diamond industry, I think that their standard line is they don't want to interfere with the internal affairs or internal politics of a country. How can you say that when you're digging internally, literally into the land, into the ocean of a country? So I plead with ExxonMobil and all the other multinationals throughout all of Africa. Come on, guys, you can do better. How much money do you all need? You've got corporate governance strategies. You can do good governance. You can employ the natural. We don't. You can do better. We all could do better. And as for the leaders there who are more concerned about their chateaus in the south of France rather than putting together streets that can be drivable, schools where kids can learn, those days are coming to an end. And I will till the day that I can no longer breathe. Hopefully, as a former president, I will always hold those in positions of leadership, whether in multinationals or other arenas, to stand up and do more. You can do more. You can help the population. Africans have needlessly suffered for decades, and I pledge to you today that this African will bring as much suffering to an end in Equatorial Guinea and in the neighboring countries. I'm going to use all of my Olympian talent, focus, purpose to do so. And I join anyone and everyone who wants to see a new and exciting chapter in Equatorial Guinea. Come on out for it because we're going to have a party.
absolutely, I have no question. You've proven yourself to be somebody that people can count on. Representing your country 4 times as Olympian. Let me maybe conclude with this question here. You probably heard or watch that interview from the first lady of Haiti
Mhm.
on CNN,
Yeah.
and she was talking about the fact that bodyguards, people supposed to protect the president, were nowhere to be seen. Now that is a scary proposition to know that the entire time the people that's supposed to be protecting you are probably part of the people that want to kill you. Do you think, and knowing how many people were involved in this murder, do you think there is like history is showing us always a foreign hand behind the killing of the president of Haiti?
Yeah, but there's always multiple actors and multiple hands, some more visible than others. All I can say is that it's a tragedy what happened in Haiti. It's a tragedy what almost happened in Madagascar. It's a tragedy it happened in Cuba. But you know what? Dictatorships and people who try to extend their power are also tragic actors. And so I is with great sympathy that Haiti lost its leader. And unfortunately, you'll know that you trust your lives in the hands of other people. And all you can hope is that in the end, whatever money they got, whatever deal they got, you have to ask them if that's something that they're willing to live with for the rest of their lives. And apparently, in this case, so it was. But it's a very touching moment. And I hope that the first lady will be able to rebuild her life. I hope that the Haiti will be able to rebuild its life after its earthquake. It seems as if from the days of the Duvaliers to the present, that Haiti's had a difficult thing. And look, think about it. Look how close it is to the U.S. coastline. And so all I can say is that there's something about these island nations and uncertainty. And last I recalled, Malabo, Equatorial Guinea is an island nation.
Absolutely. Listen, we're gonna leave there on that conclusion with my friend Gustavo Envela, aka El Nino de Oro.
Mm-hmm.
So, my friend, thank you again.
Thank
It's
you.
always a pleasure to have you on the network.
Likewise.
And
I'm saying some fufu your way in cassava, so make sure you have it ready the next time I come out there. I don't cook very well, but I'll do my best just for you.
As always, it's been a pleasure to have you on the network, and I look forward to speak with you another time, sir.
Thank you. Support Gain TV and Malik. All of you, please put money on the Cash App for real. I'm gonna do it right now.
All right. Thank you, my friend. God bless you. All right. Right. So that concludes our show for today. And that was Gustavo Envela on Talk to Me. Gustavo Envela, that you probably will see more often on this network, giving his perspective on global politics, local politics here in the United States, but especially sports, as he is a professional sportsman. So when it comes to me, all I can say is thank you so much. God bless you, and see you next time.